Hey everyone, I'm your host Jibo, and this is part 3 of Seeing Eye to Eye.
I've got one that can see.
Rapper X can be seen on the right, with this guy named Tankhead on the left. Tankhead has an Eye of Horus on his hand. On this song by X here, he samples Surrender Dorothy, who also goes by Bones. Bones was posted by this page here, called Idle Glance. The reason why I'm showing you this is because Idle Glance is followed by this guy named Ivan Gill, and Ivan has an all-seeing eye in his neck. Now through Idle, let's go back to Bones, and then through Bones, back to X. X can be seen with Adam 22, and Adam 22 can be seen with Lil Tracy. Lil Tracy is followed by Nos Gov, another who has an eye on them. Now through Tracy, let's go back to Adam. Adam can be seen here with Jack Doherty on the right. Jack Doherty can be seen with this guy named Wes Watson, and Wes has an eye on his back. Now through Jack, let's go back to Adam, who leads us back to X. X has this song here with Jimmy Levy, and Jimmy Levy has an eye tattoo on his shoulder. X also has a song with Denzel Curry, and Denzel can be seen with rapper Puya. Puya has a song with Tara Reid, and Tara Reid has an eye on his arm. Now through Terror, let's go back to Puya, who leads us back to Denzel, who leads us back to X. X was posted by Damas Live, and Damas Live is followed by Jalen McKell, and Jalen has an eye tattoo as well. Jalen is followed by this guy named Johan, and Johan, just like Jalen, has an eye tattoo. He also has another one, and it's on his wrist. Now through Jalen, let's go back to Damas Live, who leads us back to X. X also has a song with Lil Wayne, and Lil Wayne has a song with Big X the Plug. Big X the Plug is followed by this guy named Marshawn, and Marshawn has an eye tattoo on him. Now through Marshawn, let's go back to Big X the Plug, who leads us back to Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne has a song with Young Gravy, and Young Gravy has worked with PETA. PETA is followed by this lady named Evelyn, and Evelyn has an eye tattoo on her shoulder. Now through PETA, let's go back to Young Gravy, and then through Gravy, back to Wayne. Through Wayne, we go back to X. X's real name is Jase Onfroy, and Jase is who inspired me to do all of this. On this post I made on Instagram, you can see this guy named Marquise. Like it, Marquise has an eye tattoo on him. The same post was liked by Lydia Sakowitz, and Lydia has an eye tattoo on her. The first part of this presentation that I had made was actually posted about by this guy named Ben Davis on Facebook. Back in 2017, Ben posted about all of these people he saw at a Publix who have all-seeing eye tattoos. And on the right side of the screen, you can see him confirm that it was him who took these pictures. Now going back to this post he shared of my own video, this lady named Diamond commented, and Diamond has an eye tattoo on her. Now through Ben, let's go back to me. On my older Instagram account, I had posted this, and this guy named Jonar liked it. Jonar can be seen on the right with this lady named Skinderella on the left. Skinderella has an eye tattoo that's kind of hard to see. Jonar can be seen here replying to a guy named Adam Skiss. Adam has an eye tattoo on his arm, not to mention another on his back. He can be seen on the right with this guy on the left named Tom Craig. And Tom, just like Adam, has an eye tattoo as well. Adam can be seen with this lady named Crybaby, and she has an eye tattoo just like him too. Finally, Adam can also be seen with this unknown guy here, who is no different. Now through Adam, let's go back to Jonar, who had liked this post I had made on Instagram. Now through me, let's go back to Jase, whose stage name was XXXTentacion. Through X, let's go to Trippy Red. Trippy has a song with Dax, and Dax has a song with Hobson. In this video by Hobson, you can see this unknown man here, who has an eye tattoo on his arm. Now through Hobson, let's go back to Dax, who leads us back to Trippy, who has a song with Chief Keef. Chief Keef has a song with Ian, and Ian has a song with Two Hollis. Two Hollis is followed by a guy named Cameron Omega, and Cameron has an eye tattoo on his hand. Now through Two Hollis, let's go back to Ian, who leads us back to Chief Keef, who leads us back to Trippy. Trippy has a song with MGK, and MGK can be seen with Taylor Swift on the far left. Taylor's tattooed on this guy named Lance Boone, and Lance has an eye tattoo on him. Again, it's right here. He also has another eye here, and a third as well. Now through Taylor, let's go back to MGK, who can be seen here with Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross can be seen with Blueface, who's followed by DeAndre Harris. DeAndre Harris commented on this post here by a guy named XFN. XFN has an eye tattoo on his hand. Now through DeAndre, let's go back to Blueface, who leads us back to Aiden, who can be seen here with Neon. Neon can be seen with 1900 Rugrat, and Rugrat has a song with Georgiana. Georgiana is followed by this guy named Free Zoe, and Zoe has an eye tattoo on his arm. Now through Georgiana, let's go back to Rugrat, who leads us back to Neon, who leads us back to Aiden, who can be seen here with Rick Ross. Rick Ross is followed by this guy named Eric Crutchfield, and Eric has an eye on his leg. Now through Rick Ross, let's go back to Aiden, who can be seen here with Kai Sinet. Kai can be seen with Lil Yachty, who's followed by They Love Mar. They Love Mar has an eye tattoo on his chest, and another on his neck right above it. Now through Yachty, let's go back to Kai, who can be seen here with I Show Speed. I Show Speed can be seen here with Kevin Gates. Kevin can be seen on the left with this guy named Kane. Both Kevin and Kane have the eye for eye concept tattooed on them. Once again, this proves my point. Now through Kevin, let's go to NBA Youngboy, who was pardoned by Trump. Trump can be seen here with Jelly Roll. Jelly is followed by this guy named Brian Harwood, and Brian has an eye on his arm. Now through Jelly, let's go back to Trump, who can be seen with Aiden Ross. Aiden can be seen with Eneli Chapa, and Eneli Chapa can be seen with Nick Cannon, who can be seen with Justina Valentine. Justina can be seen with this guy named Conceited, and Conceited has an eye tattoo on his chest. Now through Justina, let's go back to Nick, who leads us back to NLE. Through NLE, let's go back to Aiden Ross, who can be seen here with 21 Savage, who can be seen here with Central C. Central C was tattooed by this guy named Vindler, and Vindler can be seen with this unknown guy here, who got an eye tattoo by him on his neck. Vindler is followed by this guy named Miguel and Noah, and Miguel has an eye tattoo on his arm. Miguel is followed by this guy named Jose, and Jose has an eye tattoo on him. Now through Jose, let's go back to Miguel, and through Miguel, let's go back to Vindler, who leads us back to Central C, who leads us back to 21. 21 has a song with Lil Durk, and Lil Durk can be seen with this guy who goes by Bentley. Bentley has an eye tattoo on his arm. Now through Durk, let's go to Meek Mill, who was posted about by El Nabi. El Nabi has the same eye for eye tattoo we keep seeing. Now through Meek, let's go to Justin Bieber, who posted about this guy here named Yeti Hood. Yeti has an eye on his leg. Now through Justin, let's go to Chris Brown. Chris Brown was posted by this guy here named Rolando Marrero. As you can see, he's wearing Chris's merchandise. Rolando has this eye on his neck. Chris Brown was posted by this guy named 14K Psycho, and 14K has not only this eye tattoo here, but also another on his stomach. Now through Chris Brown, let's go to Kodak Black, who's followed by this guy named Tay. Tay has an eye tattoo in his hand. Kodak is also followed by this guy named David Bunme, and David can be seen with this lady on the right, who goes by Paigey Keiki, and Paigey has an eye on her wrist here, which is very obvious, another on her shoulder, which is Horus, and then finally a third right here. Paigey commented here, and right beneath her comment, we see this lady named Jessica Rose. Just like everyone else, Jessica has an eye as well. Now through Jessica, let's go back to David, who leads us back to Kodak, who can be seen with this guy named Johnny De Leon. Johnny has this eye tattoo here, plus this other one here. Now through Kodak, let's go to Travis Scott. Travis has worked with Sauce Walka, and Sauce can be seen with Mexican OT. Mexican OT can be seen with this guy named Worthless, and Worthless has an eye tattoo on his neck. Again, it's the same stuff we keep seeing, all over. Now through that Mexican OT, let's go back to Sauce, who leads us back to Travis, who can be seen here with Kai Sinet. Kai Sinet can be seen with Kendrick Lamar, who has a song with Lefty Gunplay, who can be seen here with this guy named Dan G. Dan G can be seen with Catrell Clark. Catrell has an eye tattoo on him. Now through Dan, let's go back to Lefty, who leads us back to Kendrick. Kendrick leads us back to Kai, who can be seen here with Glorilla. Glorilla has a song with OMB Peasy, and Peasy has an eye on him. Now through Glow, let's go back to Kai, who can be seen with Kodak. Kodak can be seen with NBA Youngboy, who can be seen with Nunu on the right. Nunu can be seen with Slime Life J, and Slime Life J has not only an eye on his arm, but a second on his neck. Now through Nunu, let's go back to NBA Youngboy, who leads us to Young Thug. Young Thug can be seen with Gunna, who's followed by this guy named Millie and Margella. Millie has an eye on each side of his neck. I am what I am. Again, it's right here. Now through Gunna, let's go to Kai Cenat, who can be seen here with FaZe Adapt. FaZe Adapt is followed by Jay Alvarez, and Jay has an Eye of Horus tattooed on him. Now through Adapt, let's go back to Kai, who posted about Love Island. Love Island is followed by his page called Kaza and Kids. On their YouTube account, I saw this unknown person who has an eye tattoo on them. Now through Kaza, let's go back to Love Island, and through Love Island, back to Kai, who can be seen here with Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon can be seen with J Balvin. J Balvin is followed by Money Dollar. Money Dollar has an eye on her. Now through J Balvin, let's go back to Jimmy, who can be seen with Will Smith. Will Smith is followed by Gilbert Rodriguez, and Gilbert has not only an eye on his neck, but another on his back. Now through Will, let's go back to Jimmy. Jimmy Fallon can be seen here with Charlie XCX. Charlie is followed by Mario Batista, and Mario is followed by this guy named Juki. Juki has an eye tattoo on his hand. Now through Juki, let's go back to Mario, who leads us back to Charlie, who leads us back to Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon can be seen with Billie Eilish, and Billie Eilish can be seen with Hans Zimmer. Hans has performed at the Burj Al Arab Hotel, and at the same hotel, we see this guy named Joe McKell. Joe has an eye tattoo as well. Now through the Burj Al Arab, let's go back to Hans Zimmer, who leads us back to Billy, who leads us back to Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy can be seen with 50 Cent, who can be seen here with Omari Hardwick. Omari was posted by this guy named Victor Mudd, and Victor Mudd has an eye tattoo on his neck. Again, it's right here. Victor can be seen with this guy named Tiago on the left, another who has an eye tattoo as well. This makes Victor with this guy named Manny Cruzo significant, because Manny is no stranger to having the eye too. Victor Mudd also posted about Valentino Rossi, a guy who can be seen here having an eye tattoo as well, not to mention this other one here. Again and again, over and over, it's always here. Now through Victor Mudd, let's go back to Omari, who leads us back to 50 Cent, who leads us back to Jimmy, who can be seen here with Kat Von D. Kat Von D can be seen with Rafael Reyes, and Rafael can be seen with Ouija Mac. Ouija is followed by Zini, and Zini has a song with Alexis Monroe. Alexis commented on this post here, and the girl who runs the account has an Eye of Horus tattoo on her neck. Again, it's right here. Now through Alexis, let's go back to Zini, who leads us back to Ouija, who leads us back to Raphael, who leads us back to Kat, who leads us back to Jimmy. Jimmy has an association on Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan once owned the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets had Terry Rozier as one of their players, and Terry has an eye tattoo on his leg. Now through the Hornets, let's go back to Michael Jordan, who was on the cover of 2K23, a game for the PlayStation. PlayStation is followed by this guy named Alex Berti, and Alex has an eye tattoo on their chest. Now through PlayStation, let's go to Jimmy Kimmel, who has an association. Jimmy Kimmel can be seen with Walton Goggins. Walton Goggins is followed by Five-Headed Angel, and Five-Headed Angel is followed by this guy named Paul Alex. Paul Alex has an eye tattoo on his arm. Now through Five-Headed Angel, let's go back to Walton, who leads us back to Jimmy Kimmel, who can be seen here with The Undertaker. The Undertaker is followed by Eric Sorensen, and Eric has an eye tattoo on his shoulder. Now through The Undertaker, let's go back to Jimmy Kimmel, who leads us to Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon can be seen with Kai Cenat, and Kai Cenat can be seen with Aiden Ross. Aiden Ross can be seen with MGK. MGK has a song with Kellen Quinn. Kellen Quinn is followed by Sage Weber, and Sage has an eye on his arm. Now through Kellen, let's go back to MGK, who leads us to Trippie Redd. Trippie can be seen with Juice WRLD, and Juice WRLD had a song with Brendan Urie. Brendan Urie has a song with Travie McCoy. Travie is followed by 1111 Wolves. Wolves has an Eye of Horus on their cheek. They were also tagged here by a guy named Matt Terrence. Matt had an eye tattoo on his neck. Now through Wolves, let's go back to Travie. And through Travie, let's go back to Brendan, who leads us back to Juice. Juice can be seen with Chris Comstock, and Chris Comstock can be seen here with Chandler Riggs. Chandler can be seen with this lady named Sophia Florist. Sophia is following this guy named Alex Sotelo, and Alex has an Eye of Horus on his chest. Sophia is also following Cry the Real, And Cry has an eye as well. This makes Sophia following Aranza Davila significant, because Aranza has an eye tattoo on her hand. She can also be seen with this guy named Ami, who can be seen here, also having an eye. He also has another on his back. Again and again. It's right here. Finally, he has a third on his stomach. He can also be seen with this unknown guy on the right, who has an eye tattoo on his stomach too. Ami can be seen with this guy on the left, who has an eye tattoo as well. Again, it's right here. Now through Ami, let's go to Tom DeLonge. Tom DeLonge can be seen here with Cole Bennett, who directed a video for rapper Drake. Drake has a song with YG, and YG can be seen with Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey Hussle can be seen with Jason Berry, a Freemason out of a lodge in Culver City, California. The lodge in Culver City, California also has Merrick Hammer as one of the members. Merrick is following this guy named Timothy Hogan, and Timothy Hogan is following Brian Steele Medina. One of Brian's tattoos that I had already covered was actually inspired by a guy named Alex Gray, and Alex Gray is followed by a guy named Thomas O'Dowd. Thomas has an eye tattoo on his stomach. Alex is followed by this guy named Nick Prosper, and Nick has I Am That I Am tattooed on his chest, not to mention an eye on his wrist. Through Nick, let's go to Cameron Holler, who he also follows. Cameron can be seen with his mom. Cameron's mom can be seen with Juice WRLD. Juice was mentioned on a song by Lil Wayne called Ain't Got Time. Lil Wayne can be seen with Jimmy Fallon, who could be seen here with 50 Cent. 50 Cent was posted by this guy named Tyler Joshua, and Tyler has an eye in his hand. He could be seen with this guy named Stess Inc., who had tattooed the same thing you saw on Tyler on a guy named Jack Young. Again, it's here. Now through Stess, let's go back to Tyler, who leads us back to 50 Cent, who leads us back to Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon can be seen with Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel can be seen with Rihanna, who's followed by this lady named Amanda. Amanda has an eye tattoo on her arm, and it was tattooed by a lady named Laura Ollie. Laura Ollie tattooed this eye on her leg and an eye on her arm as well. Laura tattooed Cami Alves, who can be seen here with, again, what's obvious. I mean, come on. Laura also tattooed this lady here named Amanda Moretti. Again, it's here. Laura also tattooed a lady named Nicole Diaz, and with her it's the same. Laura also tattooed a lady named Danielle, and again, it's the same. Laura also tattooed Maria Julia Rosa, and Maria has what's obvious again. Laura tattooed Carmela Rigo, and again, you can see it. Laura tattooed on Mariana Tassi, the same. Not to mention on this lady named Vittoria Cecilia. It's again here. From Giovanna Mangerona, who has the eye, to Gabriel Benato Foreigner. It's again here. From a lady named Estella, who has the eye, to a woman named Julia Tursinelli, who is no different. Laura tattooed this unknown person here, who has an eye, not to mention a person named J.O. Pedro Felix, who has the Eye of Horus. Finally, through Laura, let's go back to Amanda. And through Amanda, let's go back to Rihanna. Through Rihanna, let's go to Young Thug, who could be seen here with Tyga. Tyga is followed by a page called Magnum, and Magnum is followed by this guy named David. David has an eye in his hand. He actually follows this lady named Alexis, who has an eye on her. It's hard to see, but it's right here. David's also following this guy named Caleb Jarrell, and Caleb has an eye too. He can also be seen with this guy named Johnny Cash, who has an eye on his arm. Again, it's right here. Johnny can be seen on the right, with this other guy named Mike on the left. Mike has an eye on his chest. Now through Johnny, let's go back to Caleb, who leads us back to David, who's following this lady named Sunshine Pleasure. Sunshine has an eye tattoo as well. Now through David, let's go back to Mag. And through Mag, let's go back to Tyga. Through Tyga, let's go back to Thug, who has a song with Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne leads us back to Jimmy Fallon, who can be seen with Post Malone. Post Malone is followed by this person named Sam, and Sam has an eye on their shoulder. Now through Post, let's go back to Jimmy, who could be seen here with Billie Eilish. Billie is followed by this other lady named Sam, and Sam, just like the Sam I had just shown, has an eye on her as well. Now through Billie, let's go to XXXTentacion. X leads us to Trippie Redd, who has a song with Chief Keef. Chief Keef was posted by this page called That Daily Slap on Instagram. That Daily Slap also posted about this lady named Gritty Lex, and Gritty has an eye on her arm. Now through this page on Instagram, let's go back to Chief Keef, who leads us to Ian, who has a song with Tuholas. Tuholas is followed by Alluring Skull. Alluring Skull is followed by Rhino, and Rhino has an eye on his shoulder. Now through Alluring Skull, let's go back to Tuholas, and through Tuholas, let's go back to Ian, who leads us back to Chief Keef, who leads us back to Trippy, who has a song with Lil B. Lil B is followed by Cal Miller, and Cal has an eye in his arm. Now through Lil B, let's go back to Trippy. Now through Trippy, let's go to Lancey Fox. Lancey has the sigil of Lucifer tattooed on his stomach. Trippy can also be seen with Aiden Ross, who can be seen with Sexy Red. Sexy Red can be seen with YBZ, and YBZ was tagged on a post with Westside's First. Westside's First commented on this post by a guy named Rich Off Default, and Rich Off Default has an eye that's kinda hard to see on his arm. Now through Westside's First, let's go back to YBZ, who leads us back to Sexy Red, who leads us back to Aiden. Aiden can be seen with Donald Trump, who could be seen here, posted by Fujimoto. Fujimoto is followed by a guy named Mitchell Soder, and Mitchell has an eye on him. Now through Fuji, let's go back to Trump, who pardoned Kodak. Kodak is followed by David Bunme, who leads us to Jessica Rose. Jessica Rose has an eye on her thigh. Now through David, let's go back to Kodak, who leads us back to Trump, who can be seen here with rapper Anuel. Anuel has a song called Baby Demon featuring Young Chimmy. In the song, Chimmy speaks on Lucifer. This makes him having a song called Lucifer much more interesting. In this song, he talks about Lucifer again. Chimmy can be seen on the left with a guy named CDO Letta on the right. CDO has an eye on his arm. Now through CDO, let's go back to Anuel, who leads us back to Trump. Trump can be seen with Aiden Ross, and Aiden can be seen with IShowSpeed, who can be seen here with Garnacho. Garnacho has an eye on his arm. Now through IShowSpeed, let's go to Raw Money. Raw Money was posted about by Holy God, and Holy God has an eye on his arm. Now through Raw Money, let's go back to Speed. Through Speed, let's go to Kevin Gates, who can be seen with this guy named Ron. Ron has an eye on his arm. Now through Kevin, let's go back to Speed, who can be seen with Moneybag Yo. Moneybag was posted by the Tennessee Titans, and the Titans are followed by this guy named 4LSMF Kilo, and Kilo has an eye on his neck. Now from the Titans, let's go back to Moneybag, who has a song with NBA Youngboy, who has a song with Kodak, who is followed by this guy named Finesse 2 times. Finesse is followed by this guy named Ronnie Red, and Ronnie has an eye on his chest. Now through Finesse, let's go back to Kodak, who leads us to Future, who has a song with Hot Boy. Hot Boy was arrested in Orange County, Florida. The reason why I'm showing you this is because the same jail that held him also held this guy named Marquise Arista, and Marquise has an eye on his neck. Now through the Orange County Sheriff's Office, let's go back to Hot Boy, and through Hot Boy, let's go to Future, who leads us back to Kodak, who can be seen with NBA Youngboy, who has a song with Young and Ace. Young and Ace is followed by this guy named Ricky M, and Ricky has an eye on his hand. Now through Ace, let's go back to Youngboy. Youngboy can be seen with Nunu, and Nunu can be seen with this guy named Jacob. Jacob can be seen with Famous Cam, and Famous Cam can be seen with Lil Perfect. Lil Perfect is followed by this lady named Carmen Elena, and Carmen can be seen here with this unknown lady here who has an eye on her shoulder. Now through Carmen, let's go back to Lil Perfect, who's also following J Cinco, who could be seen with Kai Sinet. Through Kai, let's go to Aiden Ross, who could be seen with Lil Uzi Vert, who could be seen with JT. JT is followed by this guy named 2Wave, and 2Wave has an eye on his arm. Now through JT, let's go back to Uzi, who has a song with DB. DB is following this guy named Josiah Gilly, and Josiah has an eye on his leg. Now through DB, let's go back to Uzi, who leads us back to Aiden, who can be seen here working for Kick. Kick also works with Rampage Jackson, who is followed by this guy named Juan Carlos. Juan has 2 eyes on him. Now through Rampage, let's go back to Kick, and through Kick, let's go back to Aiden, who leads us to Rick Ross, who can be seen with Meek Mill. Meek Mill was posted by El Nabi, and El Nabi is followed by the Black Illuminati. I asked this page about a guy who seemingly had an eye tattoo, and they actually confirmed that it was the Eye of Horus. Even though it's kind of hard to see on the right, it's right here. Now through the Black Illuminati, let's go back to Nabi, who leads us back to Meek Mill, who leads us back to Rick Ross, who leads us back to Aiden. Aiden can be seen with Ty Dolla $ign, and Ty Dolla $ign has a song with Jaleel, who can be seen with this lady named Isha, and Isha has an eye on her arm. She can actually be seen with this person named Cass Flow, and Cass has an eye on their neck. Now through Isha, let's go back to Jaleel, who leads us back to Ty, who leads us back to Aiden, who can be seen here with Neon. Neon can be seen with Honcho. Honcho is followed by FS Kel, and Kel has an eye on his arm. Now through Honcho, let's go back to Neon, who leads us back to Aiden. Aiden can be seen with Drewski, who can be seen here with M.R. M.R. can be seen with CJ, and CJ was on a podcast with this guy named Sean. Sean can be seen with this lady named Robin Richards, and Robin has not only an eye on her shoulder, but one on her arm. Sean can also be seen with this guy named the Irish Bull. The Irish Bull can be seen with this guy named Sir Dark, who has an eye on his hand. Now through the Irish Bull, let's go back to Sean, who leads us back to CJ, who leads us back to M.R, who leads us back to Drewski, who can be seen here with Drake. Drake can be seen with Travis Scott, and Travis Scott has a song with Wally the Sensei. Wally, even though it's kind of hard to see, has an Eye of Horus on his chest. It's right here. Now through Travis Scott, let's go to Don Tolliver, who's followed by this guy named Sweet G's. Sweet G's has an eye on his wrist. Now through Don, let's go back to Travis, who can be seen here on WWE. WWE had a wrestler named Kevin Nickel, and Kevin Nickel had an eye on his elbow. Now through the WWE, let's go back to Travis, who has a song with Drake, who has worked with Cole Bennett. Cole Bennett has worked with Tizo Touchdown, and Tizo is followed by Ray Fuego. Ray has an eye on his stomach. Through Tizo, let's go back to Cole Bennett, who worked with Drake, who leads us back to Travis. Travis has been interviewed by GQ. GQ posted this guy named Sinet Mateo. Sinet has an eye on his arm. Mateo's following this guy named Yegor Bueno, and Yegor has not only this eye on his neck, but also another on his hand, and finally a third on his arm. Yegor is followed by a guy named Daniel Shoemaker. Daniel has an eye on his chest, not to mention an eye on his shoulder. Again and again, it's here. Now through Yegor, let's go back to Mateo, who's following this guy named Demetrius Cad. Demetrius has an eye on his arm. Now through Mateo, let's go back to GQ, who leads us to Kai Cenat, who can be seen here with rapper Gunna. I've already covered Gunna for having an eye tattoo on his arm. But when you find out he has another on his other arm, one thing becomes clear. I am what I am. Now through Gunna, let's go back to Kai, who leads us to Playboy Carti, who has a song with Lotto. Lotto is followed by this lady named Mariah Lynn. Mariah is followed by this TV show called Baddies. Baddies follows a lady named Kendra Lewis. Kendra has not only an eye on her arm here, but next to it, an Eye of Horus here. Baddies also follows this lady named Fania, and Fania has an Eye of Horus too, not to mention another eye here on her thigh. This makes the third eye she has on her chest much more significant. Baddies also follows this lady named Seven Craft, and Seven has an eye on her arm. Baddies follows TT, who has an Eye of Horus, and this lady named Kay, who has an eye tattoo on her arm. Over and over, it's right here. Now through Baddies, let's go back to Mariah Lynn, who leads us back to Lotto, who leads us back to Carti. Carti leads us back to Kai, who can be seen here with Adam 22. Adam can be seen with Dean the Barber. Dean can be seen with Raphael, who can be seen with this guy named Carson, who can be seen with Rob the Bank. Rob the Bank is followed by Grayson. Grayson has an eye tattoo on their stomach. Now through Rob the Bank, let's go back to Carson, who leads us to Raphael, who leads us to Dino, who leads us to Adam, who can be seen here with Steve-O. Steve-O is followed by this guy named Damien. And Damien not only has an Eye of Horus, but also a second eye on his leg. He was actually posted by this guy named Mateus here, and Mateus has an eye on him. Damien can be seen with his brother, who has an eye on his hand. Again and again, it's here. This makes Damien following Shark significant, because Shark has an eye on their hand. Now through Damien, let's go back to Steve-O, who leads us back to Adam, who can be seen with Lozanne. Lozanne can be seen here with Chloe Luna. Chloe Luna has an eye on her arm. She can be seen here with a lady named False Savior, who has an eye tattoo as well. Again and again, it's here. Now through Chloe, let's go back to Zan, who leads us back to Adam, who can be seen here with Flo Tracy, who is followed by this guy named Sonny. Sonny had all of these eyes tattooed here. He can also be seen with his unknown friend here, who has an eye tattoo on his hand. Now through Sonny, let's go back to Tracy, who leads us back to Adam, who can be seen here with MGK. MGK, on a song called Red Sky, says, and I quote, "You saw Lucifer and made contact." Adam can also be seen with Lil Skies, who can be seen here with Sui Generis. Sui Generis has a song called Lucifer, and of course, the lyrics are self-explanatory. Now through Lil Skies, let's go back to Adam, who leads us to XXXTentacion. X had a song of his, remade by rapper Daylight, and in the song, Daylight says, and I quote, "Lucifer tried to save us, the tree of knowledge what he gave us." X can be seen on the right here with rapper Scrim, who can be seen with Ruby on the left. Ruby is followed by Autocorrect. Autocorrect has an eye on his arm. Now through Ruby, who's a part of the Suicide Boys, let's go to Puya, who has a song with Tara Reid. who could be seen with MTV Jesse. MTV Jesse is followed by Spencer Goldman. Spencer Goldman posted this unknown lady here who has an eye tattoo on her. Now through Spencer, let's go back to Jesse, who leads us back to Tara Reid, who leads us back to Puya, who could be seen here with Denzel Curry. Denzel had a song with XXXTentacion. X can be seen with Ski Mask, and Ski Mask has this Eye of Horus chain. X was posted by Oriana Manhertz. Oriana can be seen with Red Pillaries. I had already covered this eye on Red Pillaries a long time ago, but I found out he also has this one here. The reason why I couldn't see it is because it was right up on his neck. But now that you see it, well, all the other ones make this one much more interesting. Red Pillaries can be seen here with Heel Mike. Heel Mike posted about this guy named Khaled Amelie. Khaled Amelie can be seen with Jimmy Levy, who could be seen with this guy named Nick. Nick is followed by ASAP Preach, and ASAP Preach is followed by 47 Quay. 47 Quay has an eye on his arm. ASAP Preach can be seen with this guy named Nikki Gracious. Nikki Gracious can be seen with this guy named Rising Phoenix Evolution, and Rising Phoenix has an eye tattoo on his arm. Now through Nikki, let's go back to ASAP Preach, who leads us back to Nick. Through Nick, let's go back to Jimmy, who leads us to XLTE. XLTE can be seen with Rotted Flesh, and Rotted Flesh is followed by Teeny Bruh. Teeny Bruh follows the Satanic Temple. The Satanic Temple was posted about by Chelsea Rose. Chelsea has not only this snake on her arm, which is obvious, but also a second on her other. I am what I am. Now through the Satanic Temple, let's go back to Teeny Bruh, who leads us back to Rotted Flesh, who leads us back to XLTE, who could be seen here with Shaq. Shaq can be seen with Aiden Ross, who can be seen with Kai Cenat, who has worked with On the Radar. On the Radar is followed by young Nero, and Nero has an Eye of Horus on him. Nero is following a girl named Chantel Duberry, and Chantel has an Eye of Horus on her hand. Nero is also following B.A. Damalik, who has not only all of these eyes here, on his arm, but also another eye that's kind of hard to see, right here. Finally, Nero is following this guy named Messiah, and Messiah has an eye tattoo on his arm. Through Nero, let's go back to On the Radar, who leads us back to Kai, who could be seen with Kodak Black, who could be seen with Johnny De Leon. Johnny De Leon can be seen with Khaled Amelie, and Khaled is a Freemason who's also a Shriner.
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy,
Virtuous.
virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh,
Amen.
God bless you,
Amen.
brother.
See, this is what a Mason confesses, is that Lucifer is light.
Now knowing that, seeing these two Eye of Horus tattoos again, which Khaled has, should make all of this much more understandable. I am what I am. With all this being shown and said, I'm your host Jibo, and this has been Seeing Eye to Eye.
I've got one that can see.